You know, when you see those thought leaders online and everything seems so polished and perfect?
Right. Like it's all effortless.
Yeah, well, this deep dive is kind of about peeking behind the curtain a bit.
I like that.
We found this YouTube video, and it talks about becoming a thought leader through something called Agile storytelling.
Okay, agile storytelling. I'm intrigued.
It's really interesting, actually. They compare it to, like, stand-up comedians.
Oh, interesting.
They're saying, what we see on stage, that polished routine, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Tons of practice behind the scenes.
Exactly. And this video argues it's the same with thought leadership. There's a lot of work that goes into crafting those compelling messages.
And what I appreciate is that the video acknowledges that everyone has a story.
Yeah.
It's not just about, these big-name CEOs or celebrities.
Right.
It's about all of us.
It's so true. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, right? Like, why would anyone care about my story?
Exactly. It's like they knew our deepest doubts.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times we get stuck in our own heads, undervaluing our journeys because we think they're not unique or impactful enough.
Oh, yeah. I've totally been there.
But the truth is, our experiences, even the seemingly ordinary ones, are full of valuable insights that others can relate to and learn from.
Totally. In fact, the video actually mentioned a statistic about this, something like personal stories are 22 times more memorable than just facts alone.
Wow, 22 times. That's huge.
I know, right? It really makes you think twice about the power of sharing your own experiences.
Absolutely. So instead of aiming for extraordinary, it's about being genuine, relatable.
Exactly. And that leads us to this whole idea of agile storytelling, which the video presents as a 5-step journey to help us overcome those doubts and actually share our stories effectively.
Kind of like an agile framework for thought leadership.
Exactly.
I'm curious, though, what does agile storytelling actually mean in practice? Could you elaborate on that a bit more?
Well, the video itself doesn't explicitly lay out every single step, which I actually found kind of intriguing. It's like they want us to view it as a journey of continuous discovery,
I mean, I like that.
But they do emphasize that the first step is simply to start, even if your story doesn't feel, perfectly polished.
Oh, I like that. Just start.
Yeah. They even use this analogy about, steering a bicycle. You can't steer if you're not moving.
That's such a powerful metaphor.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in trying to craft that perfect story right out of the gate.
Right.
But like you said, with the bicycle, sometimes you just got to start pedaling and adjust as you go.
Exactly. It's that iterative process. And speaking of iteration, the video actually highlights podcast guesting as a fantastic way to get feedback and refine your story.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right, because you're putting yourself out there. You're getting that real-time feedback.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found really interesting is that they emphasize the importance of seeking feedback from someone who will challenge you. He'll push back a bit.
Absolutely. Someone who's not afraid to say, hey, I don't quite get it, or maybe you should think about this.
Yes. Not just someone who's going to say, oh, you're great.
Exactly. It's like having a thought partner who can help you see the blind spots in your narrative.
Totally.
They might ask questions you hadn't even considered, push you to dig a little deeper, or even challenge your assumptions, which could be so valuable.
Totally. It helps you refine that message, make it more compelling. So step 1, just start pedaling. Step 2, find a thought partner who will help you steer. What comes next on this agile storytelling journey?
This is where it gets really interesting because now we're going to talk about the strategy behind agile storytelling.
Okay, bring on the strategy.
So step 3 is all about finding the newsworthy angle.
Newsworthy. So thinking like a journalist.
Exactly. It's like putting on your PR hat and figuring out the hook that will grab people's attention.
Okay, so it's not just about sharing any story. It's about finding that thread that connects your experience to something bigger, something people are already talking about.
You got it. The video uses the example of the Great Resignation.
Right, which has been everywhere.
Exactly. But they make the point that it's not just a buzzword, it's a reflection of something deeper.
Yeah, how people are reevaluating their priorities, work-life balance, all of that.
Exactly. So if your story touches on, say, leadership or company culture, even mental wellness,
you can connect it to this larger conversation.
Exactly.
So instead of thinking, oh, everyone's talking about that, it's more like, how can I add my unique perspective?
Exactly.
But how do we actually find that newsworthy angle?
Yeah.
What if my story doesn't feel obviously connected to a trending topic?
That's a great question. It might take a little digging.
Scrolling through endless news feeds.
Well, you could use those social listening tools, see what people are talking about in your field, or even industry reports. It's about connecting the dots between your story and what's already on people's minds.
It's like your story is a puzzle piece, and there's already this half-finished puzzle out there about a relevant topic, and you just got to figure out where your piece fits.
Perfectly put.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So we've got start pedaling, find a thought partner, and connect to something bigger. What's next?
Step 4 builds on that idea of connecting with your audience, staying relevant.
Because the world's constantly changing, so our stories have to keep up. Right?
Exactly. It's not a one-time thing. You got to keep your finger on the pulse.
So how do we do that? Got any examples of how to pair expertise with what's current?
Okay, let's say your thing is company culture, but you've been mainly talking about team building and communication.
Okay, got it.
Well, think about what's happening right now. Employee burnout, mental wellness.
Yep.
It's huge. You can easily connect those dots.
Yeah, by talking about how healthy communication and strong teams contribute to a positive work environment.
There you go. You've paired your expertise with a current, relevant trend.
Making it way more timely and engaging. Okay, so we've covered starting, getting feedback, finding our hook, and staying current. What's the final piece of this agile storytelling puzzle? It really does feel like we're putting together a puzzle piece by piece. What's that final piece? That's step 5.
So step 5, and this is where I think it all comes full circle, is about always learning, always growing. The speaker we were listening to earlier talked about how telling their story, especially on podcasts, opened up all these unexpected doors for them.
Oh, I love that. Like, what kind of doors?
Well, they connected with people they never would have met otherwise,
Right.
had their ideas challenged, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that that experience just fueled their own growth.
So it's like a cycle, right? You share, you learn, you grow, and then you have even more to share.
Exactly. And I think that's the beauty of this whole agile storytelling idea. It's not a one and done thing. It's this ongoing process.
Yeah.
Refining your message, engaging with people, and always learning and growing along the way.
Like that quote, the only constant is change. We, as thought leaders, got to be comfortable with that. Always learning and adapting.
Absolutely. And I think the best part is that this whole journey, it's not just about, building a business or a platform or whatever.
Sure.
It's about personal growth too. Finding your voice, owning your story, and having the courage to share it.
Which brings us back to what we were saying at the very beginning, Yersodi. Everyone has a story worth telling.
They absolutely do.
Because sometimes we all need that reminder. Like our experiences, our perspectives, they matter.
And when we embrace those stories and share them authentically, we connect with people in a way that just facts and figures could never achieve.
It's about that human connection. So to everyone listening right now, what resonated with you today? What's your story?
Yeah, what are your newsworthy angles?
Don't be afraid to start pedaling. Find those thought partners who'll challenge you and share that unique perspective with the world.
Because the world needs to hear it.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into Agile storytelling. We hope you're feeling inspired, empowered to share your own journey. Until next time.